Crossroads 2024, and this is round 5. Off to a pretty good start here. Got a nice jump off the line and pretty much pulled the whole shot there. Looks like Sam was just on the outside of me going around that first turn there. You can't really tell yet, but going to be a lot of dust today. Later on the race especially, the dust got pretty bad. Never ran this track before, but this track was, in my opinion, was just a lot of fun. Really enjoyed this place. Dirt was pretty good back in the woods, actually. I expected the dirt to be a lot drier in the woods than what it actually was. You can see that there's actually just a little bit of moisture in the dirt, but it was hot. It's been hot all week. And I rode twice this week and expected to really have the heat get to me after about an hour or so. I kind of made another dumb plan. I'm kind of sick of making dumb plans, and I'm just going to start going all out from the gate. But I rode twice this week, and at about the 1 hour mark, man, the heat was pretty bad. It really started getting to me after about an hour or so. My plan was kind of to get a good start, get a good jump off the start, and then really just go hard for about a lap, and then just kind of let up just a little bit, because I just figured that a 2-hour race in this kind of heat, honestly, I figured that the last half hour was going to be just survival. But that's not what it was. I kind of ran a pretty good pace the first lap, stayed in first the whole first lap, and then kind of maintained and didn't really try to push too hard. And Sam passed me on the second lap, and honestly, I thought that the pace that we were running, we wouldn't be able to run for 2 hours. I thought it was going to be too hot, and I just figured, it's not going to be a 2-hour pace. I'll tell you what, though, I did a lot of prep, a lot of hydration, and really prepared a lot for the heat, and honestly, I felt as good on the last lap as I did probably the first lap. As far as just the heat goes, the heat really didn't get to me, and so I really screwed up, because I just assumed that by the hour and a half mark, I was going to be just dying, and I wasn't. I was in pretty good shape. Started gaining some time on Sam, but at that point, I had kind of just let him. He was about a minute ahead of me on laps 3, 4, and 5. He was a minute ahead of me, and I was catching him on lap number 6. But I waited too long, so I kind of screwed up. I should have just ran with him the whole time, because he didn't get tired. Obviously, he stayed the same pace he was, and I didn't get tired either. So, just a dumb decision on my point, but still got second place. It was a great place to ride. Like I said, I enjoyed this track. There were definitely some hidden rocks that you really had to be careful and stay on your toes. But a lot of some decent elevation change, creek beds, some kind of technical stuff. As always, we're kind of working through the C-class riders here, trying to stay aggressive and make as many passes as possible here on the first lap. I ended up getting second by 49 seconds, and really wish I kind of would have picked my pace back up on about the third lap, and I think I would have been right there with Sam at the end, and it would have been just a all-out race to see who finishes, but kind of screwed up. This is Ridge Run, if I didn't say that, and we're down in kind of southwest of Indy, kind of around Patoka Lake is area, kind of where we're at. We ran 6 laps, Sam and I did. I think there was definitely some people missing from our class because our row was pretty small, and I think that being that we're old, I think that a lot of people opted to not race today because of the heat. But like I said, I rode twice during the week in the heat, trying to kind of acclimate to the heat, and then I did a lot of prep for the heat, and like I said, honestly, it really didn't get to me, so very surprised. But there was a good turnout today. Plenty of riders. There was a lot of little sections where we pop out into fields, and so there was a fair amount of places to pass. Kind of had to be careful following here, like I said, because you really wanted to be able to see kind of what was coming. The rocks were pretty hard to see actually when they would kind of sneak up on you. Like this little section right here, you know, if you were right on somebody going through the woods, you could generally kind of pop out into those field sections, and usually if you were right on somebody, they'd kind of let you by. Did a fair amount of passing in the woods too, and had some people make it easy, people hitting rocks or sliding out or things like that in front of you. Definitely wasn't really riding super aggressive, for sure. I had kind of just psyched myself out about the heat is really what I did, and I shouldn't have done that. I enjoyed the layout of this track really well. Never ran it in the past, so I don't know how they laid it out in the past, but track had just a little bit of everything. Kind of feels like single track in most areas. Here's one of the creek beds we're going to drop down into. These were fun, and a couple of the areas where you come up out of the creek beds got pretty gnarly toward the end of the race. Luckily, no bottlenecks. So far, really, this season, starting behind all the C classes, generally almost expect to run into some bottlenecks, but honestly, I really have not really ran into any bottlenecks that I couldn't just sneak right around and just a few people bottled up, but not like groups of 10 or 15 bikes all just sitting, Haven't really had that this season, but haven't really had a mutter yet either. Sometimes those mutters can make it completely different. The nice thing with this track, with the heat the way that it was, is really most of the track was in the woods. And the woods, actually were quite a bit cooler than out in the sun. If you had to sit in the sun or race in the sun, or if there was a lot of grass track, that would have been different. But other than these short grass track sections that you're seeing, just short sections like this, it was pretty much, 95% woods. Like this is like one of the longer grass track sections, and really it's just crossing a field and dropping right back into the woods. Still catching up to people here on this first lap. Just trying to make some quick and clean passes here. Had a couple guys kind of run it back in on me here a little bit, but that's just part of it. Play with my front brake a little bit. My front brake is just kind of feeling a little weird. Like it's kind of spongy, but blading it doesn't help. I had that happen a few years ago, and I ended up having to just rebuild the master cylinder. So I'm kind of wondering if that's what's going on again, because it's like, doesn't matter what I do, the front brake just doesn't feel right. And I don't know about you, but when your front brake doesn't feel right, you just can't ride right. I trust my front brake. I cover my front brake pretty much just like my clutch. I have a finger on both at all times. But when it doesn't feel right, you don't feel like you can ride the way you want. So I might just go ahead and rebuild it and see if that's what's wrong with it. The other thing that I did between this race and the last race is I really completely changed my suspension. I broke my shoulder at the, I fractured my shoulder blade at the third race when I fell there off the start. And so I wanted to soften my bike up a little bit because I had been last couple seasons, I had been kind of adding preload to the front end. It felt better, but I got to where I had made my front end too stiff. So, since we had some time between these last two races, I completely changed up my suspension. And believe it or not, I literally softened everything back up. I softened my rear end up and took all the preload off the front end and started completely from scratch and kind of worked on my suspension front and rear. So I'm using a lot more of the stroke now, and it's definitely taken a little bit of getting used to. The two times that I rode in the heat were to, just start tweaking my bike. And I got it where I'm pretty satisfied with it. But this is the first race, basically, with my suspension completely readjusted from scratch, and using a lot more of the stroke, and I like it really well, but it feels so different that it's this first couple of laps. It just took a little bit of time for me to kind of get used to feeling the bike work through the stroke more, because my bike wasn't doing that before. So my fracture in my shoulder blade was about fractured halfway through. In other words, it was cracked from the bottom about halfway up. So it wasn't completely broke, just cracked halfway up, and so was still able to ride the race that I hurt it, but I got, what did I get that race? I think I still got second or first? I don't know. Maybe I think I got first that race, but then the race after that I got third because no adrenaline at that point, and my shoulder was really hurting, and so yeah, the race after that I got third. And this race back, this race is I think 5 weeks after I broke the shoulder, and so I'm feeling pretty good this race. The shoulder's really not bothering me at all. I just rode too timid, thinking I was going to get wore out in the heat. That's what happened here, but try not to make that mistake again. But shoulders doing good now. And I'm still in first here. A couple of guys that passed me there, they must be guys that are running trail rider or something, but are obviously faster riders. Felt like this track had a lot of flow. A lot of the trails flowed really good through the woods. Yeah, those G-outs like that are kind of completely different. Now my bike handles them completely different than what it would have them, the last race or two. So, trying to just see how my bike is reacting to all of this stuff. I rode at home, but I don't have trail like this at home. So just feeling it out, but I think I got it where I like it. I'm pretty happy with it right now, and I think I'm able to go just as fast as what I was when it was stiffer, but yet it's not as hard on me. I liked this section back in here. It had a lot of berms in a lot of the turns. So you could ride a lot of outsides here and kind of just keep the throttle on in a lot of these spots. Rode my brother's bike a little bit this week, and he's got a I think it's a 2023 250 XC, but man, that balanced motor is insane. You can probably tell by the way my bike rides is that it's pre-balancer, so my bike's a 2016, which really is probably getting a little bit long in the tooth, but man, I love my bike. But man, those new motors, that balanced motor it's just sweet. My bike has a way better snap off the bottom than his does for like slow, creek sections and blipping over logs and stuff like that. My bike does that way better, but as far as just smooth, man, his bike just is so smooth, so much less vibration, revs out so much quicker. It's awful tempting. I'll tell you, I don't know, my bike's an XCW, so I have the PDS suspension, and I'm not sure if I get another bike, if I'll go with another XCW, or if I'll go with an XC. Hard to say. I like them both, actually. Probably for racing, probably the XC is better, but I do pretty good on this XCW. I'm pretty happy with it. And I like having a little bit wider ratio transmission that the XCW has. Yeah, I enjoy, just putting around slow in creeks and stuff like that, probably just as much as I do, going faster. And that's what the XCW is really good at. We're trying to sneak by a few more people here. I know that the live scoring was not functioning during this race, so that really didn't help me at all, because I would have liked to have known my position behind Sam once we got to about this. I think he passed me on the second lap. That would have been nice to know. I could have gauged my speed a little bit better knowing where I was. So it was not good that the live scoring wasn't functioning. I don't know if we just had something going on or what, but getting toward the end of the race here. And if you missed this one, I tell you, I think you missed a good race because it really wasn't that hot. See you at the next round.